Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Playing on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur. Oh!
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Stanley pour les Canadiens, le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs! And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup!
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. LaBita.tv. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro, the Sick Podcast on this Friday, March 29. It is 2 minutes past 10 o'clock Eastern, live from Place Belle in Laval, where the Laval Rocket beat the Belleville Senators by a score of 2-1, backstopped by Jakub Dobeš, who was without a doubt the best player in tonight's hockey game. If he isn't as stellar as he was, the Laval Rocket lose a very, very important game as they try and secure a playoff spot. We're going to get to it. The Sick Podcast, of course, is brought to you and presented by and sponsored by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Also by LaBita.tv, brewed in Quebec and a winner of a dozen international awards. LaBita.tv offers quality microbrewery beers made with premium ingredients for everyone's taste. LaBita.tv, embrace your true nature. Light up your Monday nights at Playground with their electrifying musical Monday karaoke night. Step into the spotlight or cheer on your friends as you dive into a world of music, laughter, and unforgettable moments every Monday starting at 9 p.m. And to make your night even sweeter, enjoy the $5 drink specials as of 7 p.m. So grab the mic, pick your favorite song, and show what you've got. Whether you're a karaoke king or queen or just there to soak in the fun, there's no better way to kick off your week. Playground is your ultimate destination for entertainment. Playground just over the Mercier Bridge, only minutes from downtown Montreal. Visit playground.ca for details. And joining me, of course, is Grant McCagg of Recruits and recruits.ca. If you haven't subscribed to his website as of yet, do so. It'll cost you less than $4 a month. It'll cost you less than $50 a year. Salut, ça va bien? A lot of people here tonight still at Place Belle making their way out. And, of course, it's going to be your one-stop shop for all your Montreal Canadiens news on their players, interviews, prospects, mock drafts, analysis, you name it. He's here. He's also the co-host of the Recruits Draftcast podcast, along with Shayne Gaumond, who's also here. And Anthony Marcotte, as a matter of fact, the BPM Sport, who called the game en français ce soir, is going to join us in about 10 minutes' time. Without further ado, let's get to it. Grant, how you doing, bud?
Hey, I'm excellent, Tony.
All right, so let's get to it right away. It's David Reinbacher's, or it was David Reinbacher's first home game for the Laval Rocket. All eyes were on him. We know there's a big buzz around this team. There's 4 games remaining. They're all sold out here, by the way. The 4 games here are all sold out.
Yeah.
What did you think of Reinbacher's performance tonight?
I think it was fairly quiet. Certainly didn't flash much offense tonight. But, you got to put it in perspective, a 19-year-old kid playing in the AHL on defense. I was thinking about Simon Edvinsson, He's 3 years since he was drafted. About the same, what was he, top 5, top 6, So similar size, similar draft pick. He's still, he's a half point a game player in the AHL. Still trying to find his way in North American hockey. I think, we're going to have to be patient with him. Sure, you want to see him, score every game and go end to end and all that, but 19-year-old kid, just adjusting to North American hockey, at his age, he was pretty steady. There were no like obvious gaffes today, I didn't think.
Reinbacher tonight played like a guy who knew that a lot of people were going to be analyzing his play and didn't want to make a mistake. I'm going to get to the good.
Yeah.
The good is I thought he was
That's
very
fair.
reliable.
Yeah.
I mean, at no point did he stand out for making a mistake.
Yeah.
The other good is that JF Houle used him on the first wave of the penalty kill. Now, there were some key penalty kills in tonight's game. Belleville went on the power play a lot more than the Laval Rocket went on the power play. And there were some, obviously, Dobish is the one who backstopped everything, and he came up really big. But I never saw Reinbacher out of position tonight. I never saw him make a mistake. I saw some very intelligent plays. Should be noted that on a couple of occasions, all depending on if a power play finished or a penalty kill finished, he ends up going out there with not his regular partner, with not Toby Bisson. So then Reinbacher was playing right defense. Toby Bisson was playing left defense. But on a couple of occasions, I saw Reinbacher out there with Justin Barron, and I saw Reinbacher out there with Norlinder. And on both those occasions when he was actually playing the left side of defense.
Yes.
And when he was playing the left side of defense, it was curious to me, is actually the one or two moments where I saw that he wanted to carry the puck a little bit more. But when he carried the puck, the second he got into the offensive zone, if he was up against three men, for example, instead of forcing a play, and then all of a sudden you get stripped and the puck goes the other way, and it's a counterattack and an on-man rush for the other team, what I noticed was he was stopping, he was looking, he was taking information, and he was making the right play and the right pass. So if you were expecting flashy tonight, it wasn't flashy.
No.
If you were expecting somebody to take chances, it wasn't that. If, you wanted a relatively reliable, steady game in such a huge game, this was a playoff game tonight.
Yeah.
He was reliable.
Yeah, he was. And, there were a couple of times when I thought he probably could have pinched, been a little more aggressive, and he laid back a bit, but he didn't get burned, right? I mean, it meant that they didn't get an offensive chance from it, but it also meant that he didn't get caught out of position, like you say. So he was steady, and he made a great pass to, I think it was Farrell in the second period that almost resulted in a goal that I thought was really intelligent, showed his vision. He is a good passer. And I think we're noticing since he came to Laval, playing with better players than he played with Cloten, that there is some untapped offensive potential there.
Did you have a chance to see the interview that Anthony Marcotte of TVA Sports had with Reinbacher's father?
I did not.
Okay. So I read it earlier, and it's really fabulous stuff, by the way. And so kudos to Anthony for pulling that one off, okay? But he talked to his dad, and there's a lot of stuff that came out of that interview, and one of which was his father said that he was, he found it extremely hard. He found it painful to hear and read some of the things that were said about David when he was drafted 5th overall by the Canadians, okay?
Yeah.
But, he did say that everywhere that he's gone in Montreal, David is recognized, and everyone that approaches always has nice things to say. So he does have an appreciation for the fan base. There's no doubt about it, okay?
Yeah.
But he was very outspoken about one thing, and that was that he talked about Cloten, and he talked about the fact that they had 3 coaches this year.
Mm.
And he talked about the fact that there were instructions that were given. And basically the instructions were, you play like this. And from what I could dissect from the interview, there was no taking chances. There was no going. There was no green light.
Right.
And it was, he had to play extremely tentative. He had to play extremely safe. And he wasn't able to do some of the things that he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And his dad mentioned, I'm hoping that they'll let him do what he wants to do, what he feels at a particular moment of the hockey game. And if you go back and you take a look at the goal that he scored in his first game with Laval last week, he took matters into his own hands.
By the horns.
He really did.
Yeah.
So I found that interesting because when you said there were moments tonight where he could have pinched and he didn't, I'm wondering if his subconscious, it was programmed all season long to play a certain way.
That could be.
It's a habit that it might take a while to get out of.
Well, I mean, he's played pro in North America for a week, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to take time. The confidence will grow as he gets adjusted to the smaller rinks too. I noticed the first night, like I went down to Belleville last Friday, and he started. He was on the other side of the ice, but he's still got to adjust to the width of the rink.
Yeah,
there's 15 less feet than there was in Cloton and in the Swiss League, and there's this extra 7.5 feet he was over. And he's still got to adjust and get used to, okay, the boards are closer. There's less time. All of that is going to take time with him. But, I mean, really no egregious mistakes again, just like last Friday.
Yeah.
And that, I don't think you can ask for any more than that from a 19-year-old playing his first week in the AHL.
We didn't see him on the power play.
No.
And it's a place that I would have liked to have seen him. And I want to save this part of conversation for Anthony Marcotte, who's going to join us, who called the game. So we'll get back to Reinbacher with Anthony and not playing the power play in a couple of minutes. Okay. But let's talk about Logan Mailloux now, who did play the power play. What did you think of Logan's game tonight?
I thought he was fairly solid tonight. His defensive game is what's impressed me, that it's come along quite a bit, especially since last year when he first started with London. He had so few junior games experience. He played less than 100 junior games, so it's all about reps with him. I think the more he gets, the more comfortable he gets. He's physical. He's not getting caught out of position. Like, I think he's a smart defender. He uses his size. I would have liked to have seen maybe 2 defensemen on the power play instead of them going with the
4 forwards.
Yeah.
4 forwards and 1 D in the power play.
I would have Mayette on the point in the power play. I'd rather have had Trudeau or Reinbacher.
Yeah.
The 2 defensemen. And you noticed a couple times that I think Perreault played the point too.
They use Gignac too.
Sen's got a couple of breakaways are getting close to it on, with the forward getting caught out of position. So,
but for those who are watching right now live on YouTube, live on Facebook, and live on Twitter, and you're wondering who were the defensemen that the Laval Rocket used on the power play, was Logan Mailloux on the first wave, and it was Justin Barron on the second wave. Why don't we do this? Why don't we bring up the rosters for both teams? Let's bring it up. All right. Okay. There you have it. Let's start with the Senators. Ostapchuk at center with Pilon on his right and Schmeichel on his left. Halliday centering your second line with Sokolov and Bongiovanni. That line had a lot of speed tonight, by the way. Curry centers your third line with Reinhardt on his right and Imama on his left. Saunier with Pedersen on his right and Rees on his left. On defense, it's Hetherington and Gannett, Larson and Thompson, Sabrango and Mattenpal. In goal, it was Levy, Merilainen. For the Laval Rocket, Gignac centering Emil Heineman to his right and Sean Farrell to his left. Philippe Mayette centering the second line with Jacob Perreault on his right and Elias Anderson on his left. Mitchell Stevens centering Philip Sitterquist on his right and Gabriel Bourque on his left. Lucas Condotta centering Riley McKay on his right and Riley Kidney on his left. Trudeau, Mailloux, Norlinder, Barron, Bisson, Reinbacher on defense. In goal, of course, Jakob Dobesh. Know what I noticed? Canadians. Laval Rocket have a lot of centermen playing the wing.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons, I guess, that they traded Mishak, because of the extra, and And they're going to bring in, Beck, and some centers are going to come in next year too. And I was told that's one of the reasons why, to make room for Beck if he doesn't make the Canadians, to have a spot.
Kapanen coming over next year or not?
I'm not as sure. I mean, I thought it'd be a no-brainer that he did, but from what I'm hearing, he may not. He may wait another year. I know there's a lot of rumors about him playing for his dad in the SHL next year, but I really hope, I think his dad, the Kapanens all played pro. They all come over. Like his cousins are playing here. His uncle played here. So I'd be surprised that his dad doesn't want him to do what's best for him, not what's best for the team that he's the GM of. And I really hope he ends up coming to Laval, because I think that's the next step for him. Why go, sideways from Liga to the SHL when you can go turn pro in North America, get adjusted to the North American rinks? I think his best move would be, because ultimately he wants to be an NHLer. I hope he comes over.
Let's bring up the score sheet if we can. All right, there you have it. William Trudeau scores a goal, a lucky goal, by the way, but he goes into the corners. He dishes out a puck. He tries to center it in front of the net, and it bounces off a Matten Powell. It deflects off of him, and basically the Senators end up scoring in their own net. Mailloux and Stevens get the assist on that one. Then it's Sokolov. Just about less than 12 and a half minutes later, he puts the Belleville Senators on the board. Those goals coming in period number 1. In period number 2, it's Brandon Gignac from Farrell and Heineman to put the Laval Rocket up by a score of 2-1. No goals in period number 3. And once again, Jakub Dobesh closes the door, shuts the door. He was by far the best player on the ice tonight. He was unbelievable.
Yeah, he kept them in it. I mean, my grandmother could have picked the first star tonight, and I mean, she's not even with us anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's, it was that much of a no-brainer.
By the way, I got here fairly early tonight.
Yeah.
So 7 o'clock start. I got here at around, I had a bite to eat at a place near here, and I got in here probably at around 10 to 4. Okay. The reason why I bring it up is at 10 to 4, when I got in, Jakub Dobesh was already here. Already here, the headphones on, and it's like, now, we know there's a lot of hockey players who can get to the rink at 2 o'clock and even 2:30. Some of them get to there even earlier for a 7 o'clock game. But, for the most part, most players usually end up coming in at around 5 for a 7 o'clock game. And so when I got here at 10 to 4, he was already here. And I could tell that he was in the zone.
Yeah.
All right. For those of you who are not aware of him, once again, let's bring up when he was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens. As somebody wants to bring us pizza. La pizza pour nous, hein? Merci beaucoup, t'es bien gentil. All right, okay. Let's bring up when the Montreal Canadiens drafted him. Do we have that? Okay, we probably do not have that. Okay, I thought I sent it over. Let's see if we can bring up his hockey DB. Okay, there we go. Okay, there you have it. 2020 NHL draft. Round 5, 136 overall. You're looking at a guy who's about 6'4.5", over 200.
Yep.
Whose goals against average 296, save percentage 905, and tonight once again he stopped a ton of shots. If we can bring up the score, let me see the other score sheet for tonight. Do we have it? In terms of the shots on goal, there you have it. 11-6 Belleville in the first, 17-7 in the second, 8-4 in the third. Your shots on goal, 36-17. Belleville went 0 for 5 on the power play. The Rocket went 0 for 3. But look, we knew that he was a good goalie.
Yeah.
We had a chance to see him live tonight. I was blown away.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you had Pierre Maguire on last week saying that, 60 games, Fowler turned pro, played 60 games. I really think they want Dovish to play, 60 games next year. Why push him to the side and bring in a kid that's only 19 to play pro hockey? I really think that they'll wait another year with Fowler and give Dovish, the 60 games next year, and then bring in Fowler when he's another year, he's 20, and you'll have a better idea if Dovish is going to be an NHL goalie. But certainly, from what we've seen, how he's improved this year as a rookie in the AHL, I see NHL potential. I'm no goalie expert, but I mean, a game like tonight, at his age, he was the best player in the ice by far.
By far.
So, I think they wait a year on Fowler.
Yeah,
and that because Dovish is a really good prospect,
who, by the way, was victorious earlier this evening for Boston College in what was a 6-1 win. I think they got 5 goals. BC did in the period number 3. He made 23 saves. Their next game for Boston College is on Sunday, and if they win that, they're going to the Frozen Four. I say this, the 60-game comment really caught my attention when Pierce said it. For Fowler next year in Laval. And you saying 60 games for Dovish next year, in your opinion, for Laval, really caught my attention. Grant, there's 72 games in the AHL. They had 29 back-to-backs this year.
Right.
It's a league that has a lot of back-to-backs to try and cut down on travel.
Yeah.
I
60 might be a little high.
I don't see 60.
50.
I understand.
And again, I thought I forgot about that part, that it's not 82 games, it's 72.
Yeah.
It used to be 82.
Yeah.
But 2 years ago they cut it back.
Yeah.
So you're right. It's more likely to be like 50. But you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
The bulk of the playing time, because you want to develop your prospects. You know, give them the full. There's no rush on Fowler.
And Dovish is older.
That's right.
And you're going to be losing out on time if you start trying to develop the other one who's younger instead of him, especially if this guy is a pretty highly rated prospect too. Exactly. I mean, I understand he's a 5th round pick, but he's
if they'd have brought in if they'd have tried to send Primo to the minors this year and played Dovish 60 games and Primo didn't only play 20, he wouldn't be where he is right now either, So I think they're following the Detroit Red Wings model to a certain degree, where they don't want to rush their prospects. Like Logan Mailloux could have been called up, I think, this year, the way he's been playing. He's putting up point totals that very few rookie defensemen do, and often they get called up. But
I don't think he's ready.
What's the rush? I
don't think he's ready.
You don't, eh?
No, I don't. And the reason why I say that is
Simon tell you that, or
no? He did not. Well, Simon actually told me he's at best the number 6, and I said I think he's going to crack the top 4. But he's a little careless, I find, in defending with his stick. His positioning. He took a couple of penalties tonight where I think he's just going to have to be a little bit more careful in his zone. Penalties can happen to anyone, by the way. I know that too.
Arbor Jackeye.
He has to, and
one
maybe
game, Tony. I mean, he hasn't.
Well, you're
tonight
right.
Wasn't his best game, but if you just judge it on this game, you say, he's not ready. But I've seen a fair bit of him this year, and tonight wasn't his best game.
I still think it's best for him though to dominate in Laval. I mean, he showed some good things this year, but
that's to get back to what I was saying. They're not rushing him, and that's fine. Give him another even a half year next year if he needs it. And Detroit used to do that, where they were patient with these guys, bring them up when they're ready, and not rush them at all. In fact, past the point where they're ready, give them an extra 40 games, and just keep building your assets. And guys that they can't find a spot for, you trade them. When they're ready, when they're NHL ready. So,
if I look into my crystal ball, I think they're going to end up trading David Savard at the deadline or 5-6 weeks before, the way they did Monahan, for example.
Unless they're in the playoff race, then can you do it?
And look, I know it's crazy. I still think they're going to do it. And I've had this conversation with Eric, who says if they're in the playoff race, they're not, but then they're going to lose an asset for nothing. But Eric says that he still believes that they're willing to do that because they have so many draft picks that if you have to lose 1 or 2 for nothing, he might be right. Only time will tell.
Yeah.
But what I think is, let's just say that happens. Then again, of course, there's a possibility. If they don't make the playoffs next year, then it's an easier thing to do, trading Savard by the deadline or before.
Mm-hmm.
When they do, at that point, that's when I think Mailloux will come up.
Yeah. No, that makes sense, you know. He's probably ahead of Barron, would you say?
I would say that his ceiling is obviously, I think it's higher than Barron.
Yeah.
I think he's got more tools than Barron, but it's a question of making it all come together, right? So the one thing that he has to work on, which he might be able to do once he gets to the National Hockey League, because depending on which league you're in, you adjust, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing he has to do is just pick his spots as to know when to go and when not to go. Like tonight, I was looking at him. The second they had the puck in their zone, he was getting ready to take off even before they got the puck out of the zone.
Yeah.
He's got those offensive instincts. He wants to go like he's green light all the time. And when the light turns yellow, he goes.
Right.
He doesn't stop.
Yeah.
In the National Hockey League, if you do that, you're going to get burned. But maybe he realizes when he's in the National Hockey League, okay, here I got to adjust.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah. I thought Willie Trudeau was probably the best skater for the Laval Rocket today.
I think William Trudeau is one of the best prospects the Canadians have that nobody talks about, but very unfortunately, nobody talks about him because they're just so crowded on defense that he might not ever play here. But this kid has what it takes to play in the NHL, Grant.
I think teams are, you know, I mean, there was a director of player personnel at the game in Belleville last weekend. Why was he there? Well, he knows, just like everybody else knows, that Montreal is stacked with young defense prospects. He was there looking at, I'm sure he was there looking at, you know, Barron, Trudeau, you know, Mailloux, Reinbacher. Like, you know, the Canadians obviously aren't going to trade Reinbacher anytime soon. But I think, you know, they've got some chips there that they can use. And Trudeau, I think, has some value in the league. And at some point, he's like, I think he deserves an NHL shot down the road. And I think another team will trade for him because I don't know that there's just so many left defensemen in the Canadians.
He's going to make the National Hockey League, in my opinion, because he does everything good.
Yeah.
Smart. I don't think he's going to make the Montreal Canadiens going forward because I don't know if he does anything great.
Well, you know, a bit like Jordan Harris in that way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
They're similar type of players.
But what a game Harris played yesterday.
He did.
Harris's game, like Harris is the other guy, like Trudeau, like for example, because it's just an overall smart game with nothing else standing out. So you tend to kind of like not really pay that much attention to him. Harris played an amazing game last night.
And I know you said it before with me, like what's his, you know, because he's not overly big, overly physical, he doesn't have a great booming shot. He's not going to score a pile of points. You think, you know, what's his identity? Well, we saw last night, you know, that like he is a great skater and he's stronger than you think for his size. Very smart.
Anthony Marcotte of BPM Sports, who called the game tonight en français on 91.9 FM, BPM Sport, has texted me. He's just a little delayed. So this is what we're going to do. Shayne Gaumond is here, one half of the Recruits Draftcast podcast.
Yeah. I'm
going to bring him in, and this is kind of going to be like the Recruits Draftcast podcast tonight inside the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. I'm going to have Shayne talk to you a little bit.
Sure.
I'll take a couple of minutes here, and when Anthony comes in, we'll bring him in. So, Shayne, why don't you come in?
Sounds good.
This, huh? I even caught Shayne by surprise with this. Look. There we go.
I'm getting the headphones. What a treat. All right.
Shaner.
Well, we had a show that released yesterday, Grant.
Yeah.
In regards to your first top 10 mock draft, right?
Yeah.
And if anybody here hasn't checked it out yet, please do. Recruits Draftcast. But Grant, Your name for the Montreal Canadiens was pretty interesting. Care to give a little bit of a follow-up on that for anybody who didn't tune in?
I was hoping to have a podcast where there isn't going to be a lot of backlash.
Come on now, it's the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. We kind of have to put a little bit of spice in there. Right?
There's got to be some controversy.
Let's do it.
Well, both Rocco and I.
That's right.
Had the same.
It was a unanimous.
So it wasn't. You can't just pin this all on me.
Fair enough.
Both of us at 6th overall, which is where the Canadiens would be picking if the draft lottery didn't change and if the regular season was over right now. Carter Yakimchuk,
who is a defenseman. So
he is a right defenseman.
Yeah. Something that Habs fans aren't exactly sold on, right?
No.
Given the depth on defense, but
yeah.
Why do you think he'd be the pick at 6?
Oh, I don't think he'll be the pick, but if it was up to me and things went as I think they will go, you take the best asset available. And for me, at 6, it would be Carter Yakimchuk. You can never draft too many defensemen. Players can be moved. You're drafting for 2 to 3 years down the road. It just makes sense to go with the BPA.
Right.
Defensemen have great asset value. Why did I harken back to when Nashville was picking 4th overall in the Jonathan Drouin draft, when there was a guy that a lot of them thought might go 1st overall.
Yeah.
Remember, I think the Hockey News had Seth Jones on the cover, if I'm not, instead of Nathan McKinnon.
That's true.
There were a lot of people that thought that Jones would go 1st overall. He drops to 4, and Nashville has Shea Weber in his prime, Ryan Ellis, Matthias Ekholm, and Roman Josi. They were stacked, absolutely stacked, and other good defensemen too. Right. What did they do? They took the best asset. And in 2 years' time, they traded him for the number 1 center that they needed. Why? Because defensemen hold great value. Teams will covet them. Yakimchuk was a 30-goal scorer this year, 6'2". He's rugged, very physical defensively, has a booming shot like a Evan Bouchard type slap shot, and dangles. He dangles like no 6'2" defenseman I've ever seen, I think. That's valuable. So you draft the best player and you trade other defensemen pick up the forward that you want to fill in the spots with now. The neat thing about it, if they draft a defenseman 6 overall, so there's other defensemen that you can trade. You trade them for a forward that can play in your top 6 now. Well, that speeds up the rebuild right there. And I think they really want to go for it starting next year.
Yeah.
I see them this offseason making moves to solidify the top 6, the top 9 up front, because that's the obvious hole, right? If you draft a Ginler or Yzerman or whoever, you're probably going to be 2 to 3 years before they're legitimate top 6 forwards, because it takes a bit of time.
Right.
Well, why not get a guy that's ready now, like they did with Doc, like they did with New Hook? Get another one. Trade, and if you add another defenseman to that group, then it's easier to trade another one of the, whether it's Struble, Mailloux, Harris, all these guys are high value.
No doubt.
And they've got 4 draft picks, 1st-round picks over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
If you package, I don't know, Mailloux in a 1st-round pick, do you not think that you could get a heck of a top 6 forward?
You make a great point.
I mean, Mailloux, just an example, right? But even Harris or Struble or whoever.
Yeah.
So you try to get the best player available, the one that's going to bring you the most asset value, because at the end of the day, draft picks are assets.
That's right.
And they can always be moved. You don't look at the roster and say, well, we're drafting for tomorrow, because typically you wait 2 to 3 years for that player to be making an impact for you. So, I mean, I know everyone. The thing is that if the top 3 forwards and I think most people agree that it's Demidov, Celebrini, Lindstrom.
Yep.
They're going to be gone. I'd be shocked if they aren't.
More than likely.
Well, if they go top 3, the next 5 or 6 guys on my draft list are defensemen. Do you pass on? Let's say the Canadians have Yakimchuk ranked 3rd overall, and they're picking 6th, and he's there. It's tough to pass on him.
That's right.
You know, he might be a 20-goal NHL right defenseman, 6'3", that's physical. He fights too. Like this guy.
Yeah. He's got the
I'm telling you, Montreal fans would love him if they ended up getting him. And it surprises me that more people aren't. You know, they're just saying, no, it's got to be a forward, and it's a chess. It's a chess game.
Right.
You're not just making, it's not checkers. You make moves with other moves in mind. It's not always just the black and white. You got to go with building your assets, and you can always trade players. So
absolutely.
I know that wouldn't be what people are expecting, but I think that it wouldn't shock me if the Canadians took a defenseman. It really wouldn't.
Listen, at this point, can you doubt what the Habs management and Habs scouting team has done, right? In the last 2 drafts here, they've knocked it out of the park, in my opinion, right? So far, I mean, picking Slavkovsky when he wasn't the popular pick is looking like an absolute steal right now. No disrespect to Logan Cooley, who's doing fantastic. I'm sure Shane Wright's going to have a great career too, but I think we can all agree that as of today, Slavkovsky is by far the number 1 pick. Then you get, when Beck, Lane Hudson in the same draft, Adam Engstrom, come on. Like the names just keep coming. So at this point, I think you just have to have belief in what they have going on right now. And the scouting team is doing their job. They're doing their due diligence. And like you said, Grant, it's a game of chess. If the best player available is a defenseman, how can you argue against taking the best player available? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, regardless of where you stand or how your depth chart is looking like, you have to take the best player available. So,
especially if you think that there's a gap between, the next, and there is for me, there's a bit of a tier there. There's a little dip, there's a dip in the forward after the top 3.
Mm-hmm.
Well, but don't get me wrong. If they ended up taking Jerome McGinley's son, Tige, I would not.
No, that's it.
I mean, I mean, these guys aren't bad prospects. Catton's another one, even though I don't know that that's a perfect fit. Like I see Doc and Suzuki being the top 2 centers down the road. So do you draft a guy top 6, top 7 that might have to be a third line center or a winger? What about getting a 6'2" right defenseman that could be a 20-goal scorer?
Absolutely.
Which is more valuable?
Yeah.
And then and even if say, well, Mailloux and Reinbacher end up being better, you trade Yakimchuk down the road. But I mean, a right side with Yakimchuk, Mailloux, and Reinbacher would be the best in the league.
Yes, things of dreams right there. Folks, this was a short edition of the Sick Podcast Recruits Draftcast, but we are on the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro. So I'm going to hand it over to your lovely host. Tony, take it away.
Don't be tripping on the wires now.
All right. Thank you, my man. All right. Okay. I'm back. For those who were wondering, very, very humble tonight, by the way, because it's always nice when you go out there and you spend time with the people, rencontrer les gens. Ça fait toujours plaisir. A lot of people coming over. Hey, I watch you on the Sick Podcast. Thank you very much. Je t'écoute à BPM Sport. Je te regarde à TVA Sport. So we took a lot of pictures tonight, which was once again was very, very humbling. But to tell you the truth, I had to step away for about 10 minutes because there were about 100 people or so that stuck around, and security wanted them to leave, and they were trying to stick around to take pictures. I just made all that up, by the way. There weren't 100 people, but there were a few people that wanted to take a couple of pictures, and we try to be a man of the people, and so it was very, very nice. Grant, you and I will continue in about 10 or 15 minutes if we can. I just want to bring in Anthony Marcotte, if you don't mind. All right,
That
Anthony,
sounds good.
who said to me that he knows who you are, obviously, and what you've done in your career, but he never had the chance to meet you.
No.
So he wants to meet you. So here you go, Grant McCagg, Anthony Marcotte.
Hey,
Anthony,
yeah,
Grant
sure,
McCagg.
sure.
There you go. All right, okay. So let's get Anthony here. Anthony Marcotte was on the Sick podcast, as a matter of fact, earlier in the week, and he was in a hotel room in Utica, a game that the Laval Rocket ended up losing, by the way, that game. And he was here this morning because he is the voice for BPM Sports, of course, for Laval Rocket games on BPM Sport. So before going any further, I just want to send a special hello because I got a picture. La famille Charpentier est en train de nous regarder actuellement. Mario et sa belle famille. On les salue, hein, Anthony?
Absolument. On vous salue certains. Merci d'être là.
Puis je vais te dire quelque chose, là. Mario Charpentier est un gros fan d'Anthony Marcotte parce qu'il m'en a déjà parlé à plusieurs reprises.
Super.
Mario Charpentier is a big fan of Anthony Marcotte, as am I, and that's why I had you on the Sick podcast a couple of days ago, and you were so good that I want you back.
Twice in the same week.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
As a matter of fact, I'm probably going to propose to you to do a Laval Rocket podcast next season.
Why not?
Why not?
We'll
okay,
think about
there we go. We actually just negotiated this live on the air. Here we go. Anthony, thanks so much. First of all, you blow me away because the game was at 7:00 tonight. I called you earlier today to ask you if you could pop by to come see me tonight so we can talk about some of the prospects. I think I called you at around 2:30 in the afternoon. And I said, where are you? And you said?
I'm at the Place Belle.
And I said, Anthony, the game's at 7:00 tonight. And you said, I've been here since?
9:00.
He was here since 9:00 this morning.
And I'm still here talking to you on your podcast.
I thought I was so cool because I got here at like 3:45 or 3:50 for a 7:00 game. He was here at 9:00 this morning. He said he came for the morning skates. He lives pretty far out on the South Shore.
Yep.
And it would be too much of an inconvenience, you thought, to go back home and stuff like that. So they got a room for you here, and you relax, and you take a little nap.
That's right. I took a little nap today because I didn't sleep really well with the kids at home last night. But it's part of the deal, right?
Yeah.
But I'm always here early on with pregame availabilities with the players. I need to prepare for a pregame show. I want to have a few of the players on air to get a picture of what they expect for the game. Martin McGuire is doing the same thing for the Montreal Canadiens for Cogeco. I'm doing pretty much the same thing. I've always been listening to Martin. He's doing a great job on air. And when I got hired to do the Rocket, I said to my bosses, look, we're going to do a show that when people will be listening, they will approach it just like it is for an NHL team. So I'm covering it like it is an NHL team. I think the players deserve it. I think our fans deserve it.
Yeah.
There were over 10,000 people tonight here. There will be the same tomorrow.
This arena is unbelievable, by the way. I love this place.
Yeah, it's a nice barn. And it's good for hockey purposes, and it's good for music spectacles. I've seen wrestling here. It's a great place. It's just a little, it's smaller than the Bell Center, but more and more, I think, bands, wrestling, boxing shows, they will appreciate to get just a little smaller barn.
Yes.
It gets easier to fill it up. And it's been
very comfortable, by the way. The seating is very comfortable.
Yep.
For someone who's been around several AHL arenas, how many AHL teams can boast of having a beautiful arena like this one?
Well, we're not making the full rounds around the AHL. We're doing only the Eastern Conference, but there's only two other places that looks like Laval. It's Lehigh Valley. It's a pretty neat building, like 10 years old at most. I think it's a 2014 opening in Lehigh. Great place. And there's Hershey. It's a well-known franchise. They play in a Giant Center. It's a 12,000 people barn, a great place to see hockey. And then there's Laval on the smaller side. But we're playing in Manitoba in the same building than the Jets.
Yeah.
So how do you compare Place Bell with an NHL building?
Yeah.
It depends. And there's Cleveland, the same building where the Cavaliers are playing.
Yeah.
So you can't really compare with major venues like Cleveland.
Okay, let's get to it. You saw the press box tonight. It was absolutely packed. Everyone was here. The Canadians were represented, of course, by John Sedgwick was here.
Yeah.
Francis Bouillon was here. I had a chance to see him too. Former Montreal Canadiens GM André Savard was here tonight.
He's pretty much all our games,
yes.
Andre. He's really, he's frequently here.
Yeah, and look, a lot of people came not only for the importance of the game, because Laval is making a push for a playoff spot, of course. A lot of people came to see the home debut for David Reinbacher, who has been now in North America playing for the Laval Rocket for about a week. This was his home debut. I know what I said earlier. You missed it. I'll get to it. But as honest as you can be, which you always are, did he impress you? Yes or no?
I thought he was really good. Played with a lot of poise. Doesn't get intimidated. I remember a play in the third period where two forwards were on him. He took the body check, but he made the right play. He didn't get rid of the puck. He made a simple play along the boards behind the net to Toby Bisson, and then they went forward. So I think what impresses me the most with Reinbacher is he doesn't try to simplify things. He just thinks for the right play. There's two different meanings to make simple plays. You want to make the smart play. And I saw a really responsible player that makes the smart plays almost every time. I think Bisson is the right partner for him. He's a well-rounded veteran. He knows pretty much everything at 27 playing in the AHL. But Reinbacher has been a force, and he clearly helps this team win.
It's pretty much what I told Grant. I said, for me, I saw a very reliable player.
Yeah.
A player who knew that the magnitude of the game, the importance of the game, that this was like a playoff game tonight, who was making the smart play, the intelligent play. I saw at one point, he didn't always carry the puck in or take chances. On the couple of times that he did so, he was actually playing on the offside because of power plays or penalty kills. Every now and then he ended up on the ice with Justin Barron and Matthias Norlinder. And when he ended up on the ice with them, he was playing the left side of the fence. It looked like he wanted to carry the puck on a couple of occasions. When he saw that he had the puck and there were three people in front of him, instead of forcing an issue and getting stripped and all of a sudden it's a counterattack the other way, he set up, he looked, and he made the right. It's almost like you're always wanting to keep possession. The smart play for possession purposes, not risking any. And I was mentioning to Grant, those are some of the differences I see. Mailloux has his strengths as well, but Mailloux will take that chance.
Exactly.
And it might lead to the counter, and it could be a mistake. But Mailloux thinks, his approach is, if I take many chances, every now and then I'm going to get burned, but I'm also going to be able to contribute offensively.
That's right.
A lot of times. And so I see players that are going to need still AHL seasoning, but I see a player who's playing within his limits. So it wasn't flashy. If people came here tonight expecting to see some flash, I would have liked to have seen them on the power play. They play four forwards on the power play.
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts as to whether you think the four forwards on the power play in Laval works, and whether or not you'd like to see Reinbacher on the power play, and whether or not you think he could be good at it.
I don't know. I think we could see him on the power play. We will, I think, eventually see him. But they've been working with four forwards and only one defenseman all year on the power play. And what doesn't help Reinbacher to get some time there, it's because we're using Mailloux, then Barron in the second pairing. So if we're going to keep the same situation, do you really want to remove Barron from one of his strengths, playing on the power play? I don't know. if there's an injury, maybe we'll see Reinbacher there. There's William Trudeau, who could be available as well, playing on the power play. But as of now, I think playing on a regular basis, 5-on-5, and being the first one getting up the boards and playing on the PK, I think it's an excellent way to see him develop himself.
I'm not going to say that he disappointed me, but there was a player that I keep on waiting for him to do something. Every time I see him, I'm waiting for him to do something, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting, and I'm waiting. And I don't know if you get that feeling too, but Heineman can do more.
I know, yeah. And it's been that kind of a season for Heineman. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's a no-show. We don't see him a lot. He has good strengths, but I don't see him as a play driver on his line. So when tonight he was playing with Gignac and Farrell, when one of those doesn't have a good game, I don't think we're going to see Heineman taking over the line. So that worries me just a little bit. He should be a force in the American League, but is he a first-line player in the AHL? Because he won't play there in the NHL for sure. He will be on the bottom line, fourth or third line at most. But the AHL, are we playing him too much? Maybe.
The Canadians must be over-the-top ecstatic that Gignac didn't get picked up on waivers, because he's a big-time leader on this team.
Yeah, he's fast.
Now, you've been here since 9 this morning. I'm not going to keep you too much longer, but because you never had officially or personally met Grant other than just now, I'd like to bring Grant in my spot for 5 minutes if you can.
We'll do this for sure.
And I think he'd like to entertain a conversation about Jakub Dobeš, the first star in tonight's game. Grant, why don't you come on in here? Come on in. Yeah.
We just have 2 microphones,
wait.
So.
You know what? Listen, I could share the mic with Grant. It's not a
I think we
problem.
have enough room to fit.
We can do that. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got Grant in here.
There's enough room.
You got it.
There's room for Grant.
3 slim guys here.
There we go. Okay. Talk to him about Dobeš.
Dobeš. Oh my goodness.
Play good, huh?
Yeah. He. I don't know how you can't say that he looks like a legitimate NHL prospect. You know, judged on like his improvement from the start of his first month with the team and how he's developed since you call him those first games of the year when he was getting pulled. And
well, it's quite a comeback for him. He struggled big time at the beginning. Yeah. I really thought that the team maybe underestimated the importance of having a good veteran to back him up sometimes.
Yes.
They might have played him too much, but I mean, they weren't getting any saves from Strauss-Mann at the beginning of the season, so they might have played him just a little bit too much, but I think he found some ways to find his game back, and it's been quite impressive to see the run that he's having right now. One of the best AHL goaltenders since the beginning of December. I don't care about the numbers right now. I'm looking at his numbers since December 8th. It's been quite a complete turnaround for him since that game against Hartford. So good season for him. He looks promising. And when I'm reading depth charts of the Montreal Canadiens, wherever I look at the depth charts on prospects, I never see Dobeš's name. Everybody's thinking about Jacob Fowler, and he's doing good. I'm happy for the kid. He's playing excellent hockey in the NCAA.
I was going to ask you,
but give credit to that guy, Dobeš.
Yes.
I mean, he's been on a crazy run. He's the go-to guy in Laval. He will be there, maybe, hopefully, in the playoffs. But he looks promising, and he's a battler. That's what I like the most of Dobeš. He battles out there.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to get beat. Once again tonight, they tested him right at the beginning, banged up play, but he stayed composed and played an excellent game.
Yes, he did. And we talked about it a bit earlier. I don't know if you heard the clip of Pierre McGuire saying about, maybe Fowler comes in next year and plays 60 games or whatever. But I personally think they're going to give Dobeš, they're going to hand the ball to him next year. And you want to, he has legitimate NHL upside. So why would you bring in Fowler at 19 and sit Dobeš on the bench when there's an asset there that even if he doesn't end up with the Canadiens, they could trade him down the line if he develops properly.
And what I would add to that situation, and I understand why they might think about it, because they did it pretty much with Caden Primo, bringing him in early They didn't expect to see Primo coming in at 20, but he did it. But the big difference at that time, it's that there wasn't any blue chip prospect. Charlie Lindgren was still in the organization, but he just got rid of Zach Fucale at that time. He wasn't coming back, so there was room for a young goaltender getting in, and they thought, well, we think that Lindgren is the stay-over guy. He's going to get at least half of the games, and that's what happened. Yeah. But next year, it's not the same situation. Dobesh will still be on a second-year contract, and I think we have the ideal situation right now. Bring another veteran, if it's not Kaskisuo, or bring Kaskisuo back. He's been great, 7 wins, two losses. So there's no rush in Fowler. Let him marinate in the NCAA, and we'll see him in 2025.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put you on the spot here, but you're a big boy and you can take it.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had a chance. You had a chance to see Primo, like you said. Based on all the times you saw, based on everything you saw from Primo, and based on what you've seen from Dobesh. If I ask you, Anthony, who do you think has a higher ceiling in terms of potential? You say who and why?
Primo. Because I've been a big fan since the beginning, and I won't back down now. I've been probably one of the biggest fans of Caden Primo all over. I've always been behind him. I really think that this guy has something special in him. I see him maybe with a ceiling of a number one goalie in the NHL. I think we haven't seen the best of Primo yet, but I believe in Dobesh. It doesn't take away anything from what I've seen of Dobesh, but Primo is something special in my mind because he was crazy good at important times for that team in the AHL, especially that run in the playoffs 2 years ago. If it's not from Caden Primo, the team is eliminated right from the get-go in the first round against Syracuse. But because of Primo, we were able to get a terrific run in the playoffs. It helped everyone in the organization. And because of him, the Laval Rocket is now part of the picture in the NHL, in the sporting market in Montreal. And I think Primo was the difference maker.
So now I have a follow-up for you, as I feel guilty because once again, you've been here since 9 o'clock in the morning, and pretty soon you're going to throw me over this table and say, Tony, I need to go home. But you open the door, I'm going to walk right through it.
Okay.
You're the president of the Caden Primo fan club. I thought it was me, by the way, so maybe we're co-presidents.
Yep.
So I asked you who's got a higher ceiling between Primo and Dobesh, and you said Primo in your opinion. Who's got a higher ceiling, Primo or Montembeault?
Well, I love Sam. He's a great guy, but I think Primo has the higher ceiling because he was better everywhere at a younger age. He was better in the NCAA. If you compare his numbers in the NCAA with Sam's numbers in junior ranks and then in the AHL, I saw them both play. And you can bring it to me and say, well, Sam was the better goaltender.
So everything you're saying is true, but traditionally, and I love your arguments, by the way, traditionally, in college hockey, it's hard to score. You do have better stats as goalies than
absolutely.
you do in junior hockey, right?
Yeah, it's tough to compare.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like if you'd asked me a month ago, I think I did say, I think Dobesh is the better goalie prospect because every time Caden Primo came up to the NHL,
he was shaky.
Mm-hmm. And at some point, some guys sometimes are great at the AHL level, but when they make the big step up for whatever reasons, so much of goaltending is mental. And I questioned Primo in that regard, but I mean, the last 3 starts, especially at home,
he's been good. He's been really good.
Spectacular, so I've changed my mind on it, and it's hard to argue that, Dobesh is going to have to prove it now, and Primo he's doing it at the NHL level. I mean, he was great in college. He was great in the AHL playoffs, had high hopes for him, but I wondered if it's one of those goalies that just couldn't, for whatever reason, too nervous or whatever, couldn't do it at the NHL level, but I'm changing my mind on it. So I know I can't disagree with you.
He's Anthony Marcotte, who's going to be back for another big game tomorrow. The Laval Rocket versus Belleville again tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah. Do you want a big example why it's something special is brewing now?
Yeah.
LCN just asked me to be on air tomorrow at 10:20. So that doesn't happen a lot.
Wow.
To talk on the National Info News Network and being there to talk about an AHL team.
Yeah. Hey,
that's special.
strike while the iron is hot, by the way. Ask for big bucks. Ask for big bucks. Anthony.
Yeah.
Now everyone realizes why Mario Charpentier and family are such big fans of Anthony Marcotte. For those who didn't know you, now they're getting a chance to know you even more on the Sick Podcast for your second appearance in the last week. I thank you so much. It's been a very long day for you. I feel somewhat guilty, but
thank you.
The rest you deserve. And merci beaucoup, mon ami.
Thank you, Tony, and thank you to my parents that made me take English lessons early on in my life because I wouldn't be able to talk to you on your show. So from a Victoriaville, Quebec guy, learning French, it's easy, but learning English, it's tough. So.
Yes, and I want to do the same thing. I want to thank to all the girls I've loved before that I met at the Super Neuf in Richelieu who taught me some français, and I would stay overnight and we would have déjeuner avec la famille le lendemain.
Steak and
we
eggs.
would talk. On parlait. Merci beaucoup.
Steak and eggs.
Merci, Anthony.
Thank
Take
you
care
very
of yourself,
much.
okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
He's the great.
People.
All right. He's the great Anthony Marcotte, and he'll be back tomorrow, of course. It's an afternoon game tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. right here at Place Bell. And once again, wow, this guy, I love this guy. And I'm hoping that he can join us more often going forward. But I'm not going to keep him after 11 o'clock when he's here at 9 o'clock in the morning ever again. I'll never do that to you again, Anthony. I promise. All right. Okay.
Okay.
Well, look at that. He actually has a bodyguard waiting for him to go outside with. Avec ton garde-corps, hein? T'es avec un garde-corps pour sortir de l'arena. Hey, he's with a bodyguard to leave the... Hey, this guy's the big time. I'm telling you, unbelievable. All right, okay. Grant, time flies when you're having fun, all right? We've been doing this for over an hour now. Closing thoughts on what you saw tonight. I mean, is there anyone that we haven't talked about that is worth mentioning? Sean Farrell. We didn't talk about him. He's the third star of tonight's hockey game.
No, Farrell was decent. Gignac, something that crossed my mind, is Montreal's new fourth line center been playing better than Gignac did when he was up with the
No. Colin White has not played better than Gignac.
Yeah.
But Laval really needed Gignac.
Yeah. But he had to clap, they took a chance putting him on waivers, right?
Okay. So Farrell, I'm going to say this. His 200-foot game was better now than it was a year ago.
True.
I'll say that.
His skating's a little better, too.
Even though at one point, Wyatt Bongiovanni got behind them, I thought, late in period number 3.
Yep.
And Dobish came up big.
Yep.
I'm wondering if traditionally there have been players. I'm going to give you Corey Locke as an example, who was not a big guy.
Yeah.
Who was the best player in the AHL or one of the top 3.
Yeah.
But he was just missing something to be a better National Hockey League player. Charles Hudon was very good at the American Hockey League level, wasn't able to crack it consistently at the National Hockey League level, ended up playing overseas. I'm wondering if Farrell will be one of those guys, a tweener.
Yeah. Yep.
Or he'll be able to make it to the National Hockey League. He's not big, and he's not playing center now, and he's playing wing.
Yeah. And I think the Canadians have a lot of smaller forwards.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know that he'll play in the National Hockey League for the Canadians because of that. Now, if he's going to have to keep improving his skating because it's such a key when you're that size. You have to be faster than average. And he's not. And until that happens, the skill level, he was above average skill in junior, in college, but you hit the pros and, there's guys just as skilled. Now his smarts, you love how smart he is. He sees the ice well, great vision, but he'll have to get quicker to make the NHL, certainly with the Canadians. He might end up being a Hudon. That's a very good, Charles Hudon is a very good comparison where I think, he could become a really productive AHL player.
Barry Boulay. It's another one.
Yeah, sure.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
you know, just a cusper tweener.
All right. Why don't we end it with the Accident Insurance Solutions moment of the game? The moment of the game for you?
Oh, about 5 big saves from Dobish. I don't know if I can pinpoint one for sure. Did you?
Well, there's one that I thought of late in the third, right in front. Actually, it happened. Pardon me. It happened in the second period. It was a bang play right in front of the net. He makes the save. The puck ends up going on Gignac's stick, who ends up going on a 2-on-1 with Farrell. Gives it to Farrell, who gives it back to Gignac. They score the goal. And Gignac, after he scores, skates over, looks at Dobish, and basically says, thank you, my man. That one's for you. So that was saving a goal at one end, scoring a goal at the other. It could have been 2-1 Belleville. It ended up being 2-1 Laval Rocket, and that's the way the game ended. And that is your Accent Insurance Solutions moment of the game. I didn't hear it come up, by the way. Do we have it?
Accent Insurance moment of the game.
It all happened within 30 seconds. It was a big stop by Jakub Dobish on a bang play in front in the second period. And then the puck goes the other way onto Gignac's stick, to Farrell, back to Gignac. He scores a goal on a 2-on-1, and the Rocket end up taking a 2-1 lead instead of being down 2-1. And you have it, your Accident Insurance Solutions moment of the game. Once again, merci beaucoup à tout le monde qui nous a regardé ce soir, que ce soit sur YouTube, que ce soit sur Facebook ou que ce soit sur l'application X en direct. Merci à tout le monde qui est venu nous saluer ici à la Place Belle à Laval. Thank you everyone for watching on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Twitter Live. And thank you everyone for coming over and saying hello. It was such a pleasure and an honor to meet all of you. Special thanks to Anthony Marcotte, who came over despite being, here at this building since 9 o'clock this morning. Special thanks to Grant McCagg, who drove all the way down from Ottawa to catch the game tonight with me on Press Box Row. And you'll be back tomorrow afternoon on Press Box Row again. And special thanks to Shayne Gaumond, who's set up here. Shayne, thanks, my man. Very much appreciate it. Let's bring him in. Without him doing the stuff here and setting it all up, I don't know how to do any of this connection stuff and any of these board stuff. And special thanks at Master Control to Agnello and Sammy, their Cavallaro. This guy is Gaumond. This guy is McCagg. Me? I'm Marinaro. Have a great Friday night. Laval Rocket win 2-1. Ciao for now.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. LaVie.tv, embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.